You are being hunted down by multiple random hunters and you have no other choice but to hide. You have the ability to transform into an object, but the hunter has the ability to capture you from a distance. What do you do when the only way of getting Primogems is by playing a deadly game of Prop Hunt? I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the hunters in Genshin Impact's Windtrace. This guy just found out that Klee will be released on the next banner. He checks to see if he has enough Primogems to prefer, but it's not enough. He has no access to his mother's credit card and his team is too weak to finish Spiral Abyss. Luckily, he can play a game where if he reaches enough coins, he will be rewarded by hundreds of Primogems. The mechanic of the game is to hide from the hunter until the time runs out. You are given different unique abilities, such as being able to disguise yourself as an object to blend in the environment. Home Legend enters a wine farm and is given the option to disguise as a lantern or a barrel. He chooses to hide as a lantern and sits on top of another barrel. This is a smart move. The barrel that he can transform into is a barrel that only blends in outside of the fields. Going to the fields is a bad idea because we still don't know whether or not the hunter can see us from the box. But also, picking something smaller gives us the space advantage. We can fit into tight spaces where the hunter will have a hard time spotting us. He discovers that he can also place down baits that can block the vision of the enemy. He places a few baits near his position as a part of his strategy. Minutes have passed and none of the rebels are still found. Home Legend thinks that the hunter is a complete newbie, but he is about to encounter a sudden turn of events. As the hunter completely ignores his bait and finds him hiding, he has no other options but to run. He runs for his life while continuously landing baits which blinds the enemy in attempting to capture him. He hides in a bush while the hunter runs the other direction. We can say that the protagonist is pretty smart in placing down baits while being chased, as it gives us enough time to move while causing misdirection. Suddenly, a random orb has appeared out of nowhere. It seems to be something powerful, but the rebels will have to be careful as it might just be their last meal. Having an orb that can be displayed on the minimap means that the hunter can use it against us, but luckily for Home Legend, he just happened to pass by the hunter in getting the orb. Granting him super speed, he chooses to hide and conserve the power until the match ends. Within the last 3 seconds of the game, one of the rebels was caught by the hunter. Now, being hunted down by one of the most oblivious hunters of the game within the last 3 seconds means that no one is safe. If Home Legend wants to win the next game, he's going to need to think quickly on his feet. Entering the next game, he finds himself in a frozen cave and is given the option to disguise as a crate or a barrel. Now, he might have the advantage of blending in the environment, but this is extremely risky. The hunter has the ability to trap any rebel within a 1 meter radius from him. Our huge size would also mean that every little movement that we make would be highly noticeable. This also means that we can easily fall victim to the distance of his attack because of our bulkiness. He's confident that his bait won't run out, and when he sees the hunter from a distance, he chooses to not transform at all. This guy had just made a fatal mistake. As the hunter gets near to him, he tries placing multiple baits, but he can't make any more than 2. He tries running away, but gets blasted and captured by the hunter. If he had taken the game a little bit more seriously, he would find out that there's a limit to the number of baits he can place. He could have also planned a better escape route so he wouldn't have yeeted himself towards the enemy. Utterly defeated, he enters the next game, which takes place in a rice field. Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker. Our disguises can only work within the fields where other scarecrows are placed. If the hunter decided to randomly guess, we would be screwed. Also, we're still not sure if the hunter can see us from the box or not. As the match begins, a player decides to take one for the team and gets himself to be chased down by an arsonist who is threatening to destroy humanity. This is a good thing, because having someone else get chased down by the hunter gives us time to move to a better spot. Since the only disguises we have would only work in the fields, we could forget about the disguise and take the high ground so that this arsonist child will have a hard time spotting us. The player being chased down gets captured and there are only 2 rebels left. Not using this time to move somewhere else is a huge waste. The player running away can't last for 3 minutes against the hunter with increased speed and range. As the hunter finishes capturing child, she turns her attention to the scarecrow and captures Legend. He has lost 2 games in a row, and it's only a matter of time before he rage quits and misses the entire event. The next match takes place in a village where he can transform into either a haystack or a crate. After finding out who the hunter of the game is, things just became a lot more difficult. The hunter of the game turns out to be Mona, who has the ability to turn herself into a small puddle and sprint extremely fast. Not having much of an option, he makes a risky strategy by taking the high ground whilst hiding in a bush. Taking the high ground against the Mona is a great idea, since one of the reasons why people hate using Mona is because she can't sprint over obstacles. By going to a higher place, it would give you enough time to move to another location while Mona desperately tries to climb her way to catch you. Taking the high ground also allows you to spectate on what's happening from below, allowing you to pinpoint the enemy's location. With 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock, the same power orb from earlier emerged out of nowhere. Mona absorbs the orb and gets its power up. A huge beacon beamed to the sky showing Home Legend's location for 20 seconds. He has no other option but to move to another spot. Luckily for Home Legend, Mona is currently on the opposite side of the map. This gives him enough time to wait until Mona approaches to her current location and use the remaining time left to run and hide. He removes the disguise and waits until Mona reaches his location. He runs as fast as he can, placing baits behind his track, blurring her vision. He almost gets caught, but was able to climb to a tree last minute. He goes back to his original hiding spot and waits until the timer runs out. He wins the game. He plays another round and wins by turning himself into a barrel on a tree. In his last and final match, he finally becomes the hunter. It's now his turn to hunt on the props that he used to be from the previous matches. The only problem with this matchup is that he is fighting against Mona. Her ability to turn into a puddle makes it harder for her to find, whilst also having the speed to outrun the hunter. The timer begins, and the rebels hide before Home Legend gets released. It has finally been revealed that as a hunter, you have the ability to see everything. This means that if someone were to hide behind your back to try and trick you, it won't work. Using this to his advantage, he sees where all three of them went and observes the slightest movement in their location. After being released, he goes to hunt on the first Mona, as she would be a pain in the ass if she ran away towards another location. He uses his tracking ability and immediately spots Mona's disguise. He chases her down and eventually captures her. He remembers the second rebel's location, who will climb the tree in order to take the high ground. He remembers his previous strategy of becoming a barrel on a tree. He climbs the same tree he saw her climb into. Before he captures her, she disappears. Wondering where she went off to, he explores the area where he notices that there is a crate that seems to be out of place. He approaches, when all of a sudden, the crate moves. He chases her down as she removes the disguise in a desperate attempt of running away. The rebel is smart for escaping him twice, but unfortunately, she was doomed to be captured. She gets captured by Home Legend a short while after, and there's only one more rebel left to go. He inspects the area, but he couldn't find where the second Mona is hiding. With no other options left, he has thought of a genius plan that will solve all of his problems. Within 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock, a favor orb appears. He takes the orb and reveals the location of the last and final rebel. The rebel would then be revealed to be hiding from the top of the cliff. Knowing that her location had just been revealed, she is about to make the biggest mistake of her life. Legend approaches her while she uses her glider to get down from her location. This is a fatal mistake due to the fact that Legend has the area coverage advantage. She can glide down as much as she wants, but she will be captured by the hunter the moment she lands. If she only waited until Legend climbed the cliff and used her super speed to run away from him, it will give her more than enough time to move to somewhere else and wait until the timer runs out. Home Legend emerges victorious and is yet to win more coins in the following days. But what do you think? How would you beat the hunters in Genshin Impact's Windtrace? Let me know in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode.